In today's video, I am going to replace an emergency brake cable on this car behind me, which is a 2007 Chrysler 300. Emergency brake systems have remained basically the same for many years, so this is kind of a standard procedure. Here's the cable I'm going to replace. There are generally 3 cables associated with an emergency brake system. One of them will be the cable that goes to the front of the vehicle and connects to wherever you activate your emergency brake. Whether you pull up a lever or you push down on a pedal, that is the cable we're going to replace. That cable, this is the end that connects to the brake pedal or the lever. The other end goes down the rear of your vehicle, and when the force is put on this end of it, 2 other cables going to your rear wheels will have pressure put on them when there's pressure on this one. So then the emergency brake pads in your 2 rear wheels will activate and force out against the drums of your vehicle and activate the emergency brake, which is also called the parking brake. I'm going to try to show you how this is laid out. It's going to be difficult, but here is one of the emergency brake cables that goes over to the rear brake on the driver's side. There's going to be another cable going to the brake over on the passenger side. I'm going to see if I can wiggle it up here so you can see it. It's over here. Hopefully this is coming out. You can see the problem. That one has broken off. Okay, the lighting was pretty bad under there, so I'm going to try to show you what we were just looking at. Here is the end, the old end of the cable. I had to cut this all out. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was all rusted and corroded. If we look at the new one, twist this thing around here, we can see that, see the old one there? See where the end of that cable is rusted in and rotted off? Right there by my finger. So that was the problem with the old one, along with the fact that the part of this end here on our cable that went towards the front of the vehicle was so rusted and everything, I had to cut it out. Whenever I'm doing a job like this, I like to first just loosen up any bolts or nuts that are involved. These are the nuts that go around our clamp and keep the emergency brake cable in place up the whole length of the vehicle. It's always good to keep the old cable in place until you're ready with the new one. Here's my new one, and as I say, I left the old one in place but loosened everything off. Where is it at? Right there. There's the nut that I loosened off here with the loop that goes up to the old cable. So to my point, it's just good that if you leave everything in place and say you're ready to install that, just as I am right now, you don't lose track of where it's routing. To access where the emergency brake cable feeds up into the car, you're probably gonna have to pop a couple of pieces of your upholstery covering out, like I did there. And here is where our cable feeds up through the floor. You should see something along these lines. I'm going to grab my screwdriver so I can point it out. Here is our emergency brake cable, right there. Now, if you notice, this end here that connects to our circular piece, which I'm just going to press down on the emergency brake pedal right here. No, and we can watch up here. See that? Pulls on that cable. This end here is not the same as our new cable. The reason for that is because of some good design work, and hopefully yours will be the same. This cable here, we've got our emergency brake cable cut off back there. So this is where we're actually going to change. This end, see if I can twist this around, tight quarters. Right here, that cable end is the same as our new cable. So this is what we got to do, is we got to pry this open right here and change, put our new cable end in there. I'm about to disconnect our old cable here. You can see up where it goes into this metal piece here. Here's our new cable, and it's going to show you, see on that, on the one on the left, I'm going to push these tabs in like that with my pliers and then pull that out. Putting the new one in, I'm just going to push it up, and because these tabs pop out, it'll stay in place there. At this point, I replaced the emergency brake cable that goes to the front of the vehicle that we discussed, and I have the emergency brake operated right now. You can see I got this vehicle jacked up, and I can spin this rear wheel. It's in park, so I can only go that far with it. So obviously our emergency brake is still not working, and I'm going to show you next what the problem is. Earlier in the video, I discussed the two individual cables that go to each rear wheel. Here is one of them right there. That goes to the passenger side wheel, the wheel I just tried to turn. Here's the union for the new cable that I replaced that goes to the front of the vehicle. If we follow this cable over, this one that goes to the passenger side, here's what happened. I cut this back, the outer rubber coating on this cable. And what happened is, you see this coiled metal, you can actually see how the Canadian winters have rusted this right out. And I'm going to, I tried to twist this cable around to show you, but on the other side it's actually bare. It obviously wore against this mount here that keeps it in place. So this cable has to be replaced also. There is our problem, and that's why the emergency brake is not working even after I change that main cable to what that goes to the front of the vehicle. Getting the other end of that cable off was a job in itself. It was all rusted into place, as you saw. I had to take my pliers and compress the spring clips that would go into place. And some of them were so rusted I just literally tore them off in pieces. And I cut the cable to make it a little easier to turn like that, and then eventually pulled it out. Here's my new emergency brake cable that goes to the passenger side of the vehicle. This unit here connects over on the wheel side. This side here goes to our union. That's what I just showed you in the previous video clip. See how nice and easy that moves in there? Anyways, let's replace that. And here it is in place. It was much easier to get the new cable in here than getting the old one out. I just basically pushed it through this end of the mounting bracket, and then these clips just expand out, wiggle the cable a little bit, those clips expand out, and then I connected it in our union there. It goes over the other cable for the driver's side and to the cable that goes to the front of the car. I removed our caliper. There's two bolts that keep that caliper on. Before you ever remove that type of caliper, you have to retract the pads into the piston. I got lots of brake videos, changing calipers, stuff like that. So basically I just retracted the pads, the caliper, took the two bolts off, obviously after I removed the wheel, and then I took our rotor off, took that off. Here's our emergency brakes. I have a video which goes over how these parts all fit together. At this point, I cut cut our cable. See if I can show you that. Anyways, I cut that rotten old cable back about a foot or so there. And now there's a hex, or I can't recall what you call that head, but anyway, kind of an oddball head on this particular vehicle to hold the cable in place. And I'll remove that. I finally got that actuator in place. I'm not even sure how I did it myself. Here's the problem. You got very limited space to get this in between the hub and wheel bearing assembly and where we're working at. This is another actuator. I always order extras. So just to illustrate what I ended up having to do, I backed off our emergency cable here. I'm going to put that back in place, and if you can see it, you can see that actuator operating there. I put this vehicle, this is a rear wheel drive vehicle, I put it in neutral. The vehicle is obviously blocked so it doesn't roll. This is how cramped I was for space. I turned the hub and bearing so that none of the studs were in the way, pulled the cable, hooked it here like this, and then managed to wiggle this unit into place. Now, that's a lot of work and a real pain in the butt. The problem is there's a way to do this with a lot of room, but that procedure involves taking this wheel bearing off. That's a lot of work, and generally when you take a wheel bearing out, you're going to end up putting a new one in. So anyways, hopefully you'll be able to arrange the same thing. So now that I got that cable hooked onto that part there on our actuator, I got my pads and everything back in place. Put this cable on. I'll put our rotor back over it, and I'll put this back together. I'm going to adjust my pads here so that when I put my rotor on, they're just going to scrape against the pads. The vehicle's in neutral now, so if I spin this, that spins right easy. What I want to do is adjust those pads out so they're touching against that the inside of that rotor. In other words, our emergency brake pads will expand out this way, like so. Now, the way you're supposed to do this is you'd stick a flathead screwdriver. I got an old knife here. See through there, and then you would turn our adjuster. That, as you can see, is a real difficult thing to do. So what I do is I turn this until our pads expand out and I can just get that rotor on. If I wear a little bit of the inside of the pads, I don't really care. So from this vantage point, our adjuster here, this is our adjuster. From this vantage point, if you turn this wheel right to the right, it will get smaller and allow our pads to move away from the rotor. Now I want to make them tighter, so I'm going to turn this wheel to the left, and if you watch, you'll see it expands, and that's going to make the pads go closer to the inside of our wheel. You'll see that in a minute when I go to put that on there. All right, I tightened up our adjuster. Our wheel is spinning. As I said before, the vehicle is in park, or sorry, in neutral. Let's go operate our parking brake and see what happens. Okay. Now we can see our parking brake is working. Cannot spin. The final test I always do when I'm working on emergency brakes is I take my car, park it on a little bit of a hill, put my foot on the brake, put the vehicle in neutral so that it will roll. Because we're on a hill, we look outside, we can see that the car is actually rolling down the hill, and then I put my foot back on the brake. Obviously, we're going to be careful that there's no vehicles around, watching for traffic. Then, put my foot on the brake, I operate our emergency brake, take my foot off of the brake. We are in neutral, so we would be rolling if the emergency brake was not working. And then you look and see, we can see that we are not rolling and the emergency brake obviously is functioning. Anyway, I hope that was a helpful video. Thanks for watching.